This is the mayor of Blacktown. Today is Saturday, March 30th, 2013. I rarely talk about racism or so-called white supremacy. Yeah, rarely. I usually talk about feminism and the effect that feminism has had upon distorting and destroying the definitions of manhood. Yet this video very quickly is going to be about racism and a blatant act of racism that cannot be denied. And it has to do with King Tut, a black Egyptian king, not some Greek mythology, but a black Egyptian king, one of hundreds of kings that existed in that black African empire. And the racism that I want to talk about is how, and there it is right there in the picture, how modern scientists, the racist modern scientists, because not all white people are racist, thank God, but the racist modern scientists have created this so-called computerized image that they are circulating everywhere on the internet of what King Tut supposedly looked like. Now here's the racism. The racism is these racist scientists are trying to show King Tut being a white boy instead of the black African that he was, and we know exactly and precisely what King Tut looked like because of the various sculptures that have been discovered, including the very gold mask of King Tut himself. And there it is for us to look at. Not only the gold mask of King Tut that was sculpted and created out of solid gold by the Egyptians, the Egyptian craftsmen themselves, but also other sculptures that look just like the King Tut mask and therefore obviously are accurate depictions and descriptions of what King Tut looked like. Yet the modern white racist would rather promote and circulate this so-called computerized garbage. And that's literally what it is, garbage. That makes absolutely no logical sense. And it makes no logical sense because it's racist. Yet that is just one aspect of white racism. Another one that here is something that whites don't ever talk about, and that is the fact that it is abundantly clear that black people invented the wheel. There it is right there. Yeah, King Tut's chariot. Yeah. And of course, when I believe it was Howard Carter discovered King Tut's tomb in the 1920s at a time, ironically, when race riots were occurring throughout America because whites were jealous of the progress that blacks were making. Yeah, in the 1920s, God allowed King Tut's tomb to be discovered to absolutely crush the racist propaganda that existed at that time, that blacks couldn't run, blacks couldn't jump. I mean, it was out there that blacks couldn't do any of these things, but now we see with the discovery of King Tut's tomb that black people had access to the wheel, solid gold wheels. That's powerful. That is awesome. And I never hear whites talk about that. And I never even hear blacks talk about the fact, the indisputable, irrefutable fact that black people invented the wheel. There it is right there. There it is. And obviously what we understood, black people understood, those black Egyptians understood technology because we made things out of solid gold that was obviously dug up out of the ground. Do you realize how powerful this is? This revelation of the power of black people, the power of the black man's mind. No wonder King Tut and all of the other hundreds of kings just like him whose tombs have yet to be discovered, maybe because they were looted, and I would like to know a list of every king's tomb that has been discovered. That way we could go through a process of elimination of determining what other tombs have yet to be discovered. Because there may be some other King Tut tombs out there buried. So this video was just to talk about a glaring example of racism. And that is how white scientists have made TV shows showing this picture, this insane computer-generated picture of what King Tut supposedly looked like, and based on a skull. But we know what King Tut looked like precisely because of the sculptures that the Egyptians made, and all of the sculptures look alike, which is once again a testimony to their craftsmanship. I mean, it is, and I'm an artist. And believe me, these brothers knew what they were doing. They understood anatomy. And of course, there have been many other sculptures of various Egyptian officials that were cut and carved out of solid rock. And yet these carvings and sculptures look just like the person. Yeah. And at the top of the list of the testimonies to the genius of these black Egyptians is the fact that they invented the wheel. Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's indisputable. Yeah, the Romans did not have the wheel until they learned how to ride horses from the Egyptians. Yes, Egyptians were the first to domesticate the horse. Yeah. The Egyptians were the first to create farming and irrigation using the Nile. Yes. This cannot be disputed nor refuted. And when it can't be disputed nor refuted, the racist whites, they generally ignore it. And if you notice what I said, the racist whites, because I have to give credit to the whites who admit that the Egyptians were black and that the Egyptians were the first engineers on earth. Yeah. However, reluctantly, there are a few whites out there who will tell the truth and shame the devil. But the purpose of this video was just to talk about this glaring example of racism that I kind of get tired of seeing, of what King Tut supposedly looked like. And of course, has been an ongoing debate and controversy as to whether or not the Egyptians were black or white. It's a stupid argument. Now, one fact that does need to be mentioned is that when whites came out of the Ice Age into Africa, Northern Africa, race mixing did begin to occur. But this was towards the fall of Egypt. Yeah, this was towards the fall of Egypt, about 500 years BC, around there. Not thousands of years BC, when Egypt was at its height. And of course, there's an ongoing debate that Egypt is 10,000 years old. And I can believe that. I mean, think about it. Egyptians have been on earth for a long time, and they have been charting the stars for a long time, and not just when white folks say they were. Let's not forget, Egypt is divided into the Old Kingdom and the New Kingdom, Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. And we know Upper Egypt is in Nubia, deep into what they call Sub-Saharan Africa. So there's an ongoing debate about how Egypt goes back even before the Sahara Desert was formed. Yeah, 10,000 years BC. That's a long time. And I can believe it. I can believe it. Because the evidence is there. And I've heard some people say, well, if black people invented all of this stuff, how come you were made slaves? It's because the climate of Africa was not conducive to world wars. Yeah, Africans had minor wars, but not like white people have had. White people had gods named Thor, war gods. And that's all coming out in the wash now with the this week's Supreme Court hearings about gay marriage. White people are the only people on the earth that want to legitimize and sanitize and legalize what is an obvious sin. No other people on earth are seeking to legitimize and sanitize and legalize gay anything, marriage, lifestyle, whatever. So black people, you're going to be forced to take a stand, to mark your territory. Your circumstances are going to push you. Yeah. And like I said, the first thing you got to do is give yourself credit. You invented the wheel, black man. Yeah. There it is, right there. The Egyptian chariot. There, and I never hear whites talk about this chariot. Nope. They don't talk about the chariot. The chariot is symbolic of technology. See, they'll talk about how the Egyptians were all religious and superstitious, or supposedly superstitious, with all these strange gods. But obviously, the Egyptians were a technologically advanced people, typified, of course, by the pyramids, which can't be denied is powerful engineering, but also the wheel. And there it is right there. Thank God that King Tut's tomb was discovered when it was, in 1921, I believe. Yep. King Tut's tomb. They opened it up, and this is what they found. Wheels. Wheels, people. Wheels. And this tomb was thousands of years before Christ. That's when this tomb was carved out of solid rock. The Egyptians were not just a superstitious people who worshiped strange gods. And of course, last but not least, may I remind you that every alphabet in the English language began as an Egyptian hieroglyphic. You can see that if you look in World Book Encyclopedia. I have a set of World Book Encyclopedias that I was given in 1975 as a birthday gift. And every page, the first page in every alphabet of the World Book Encyclopedia, it talks about where that alphabet originated. Yep. You open up A, there is the letter A on the first page, and how the A evolved over hundreds and literally thousands of years. And it shows you how it evolved from ancient Egypt. Yeah. Thank God for the good white people who put that in there. I'll be the first to admit, yeah, there are some good white people, because there is a God. And it's been the good white people who eventually realized slavery was wrong. They broke off from the British Empire to found America, the United States of America. And then 100 years later, they fought the American Civil War. And of course, it took 100 years so that America could become established and then fight another major war. But then the racism rose up in the 1920s, and America didn't do anything. So what did God do? God allowed Adolf Hitler to rise up after King Tut's tomb was discovered. And I say that because all of these are examples of how God works. God is the force of goodness versus evil. Yeah. There has been an ongoing struggle. And then we know 100 years after the Civil War, we had to endure the American Civil Rights Movement of the 1960s. And we should all remember that ongoing battle between good and evil. So it's an ongoing struggle. But like I said, the purpose of this video was just to show you a glaring example of racism. Glaring example, indisputable, irrefutable. I guess we could say a modern act of racism, because some people think, oh, racism is dead. No. Racism is when whites don't want to give black people credit for being the original people of the earth, the founders of civilization, the founders and fathers of civilization. And now we are teaching the world what peace is. Rodney King said it best. Can we all just get along? Because black people, we love peace. And now, in the age of the nuclear age, many whites are realizing war is obsolete and is stupid. Yes, human beings will have feuds, but they should not escalate. Sibling rivalries, family feuds, lovers' quarrels, and like I always say, even gender wars. But they are to be resolved. Everyone has family feuds, disagreements, misunderstandings, but they are resolved. They don't escalate into Armageddon, which is what all of humanity is embarked upon now, diffusing and preventing another world war. This is the mayor of Blacktown. Let me hear all the strong black men say it again. Amen, amen, amen.
We declare our rank on this earth to be a man, 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 to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence